Good morning, students. So, today again we'll be continuing with the same chapter that we started in the previous class. We were talking about the diversity in the living organisms, and as we all know, in the living organisms comes both plants as well as animals. So, we'll talk about both in today's class. Now, in the previous class, we discussed that how were the different hierarchical systems were set, then how were the five kingdom classification was given by R.H. Whittaker. He divided the five groups considering their complexity. Like Monra में सबसे simple forms of animals थे, like the bacteria, there were prokaryotes, and as we move on further, protista that were little more, that were not prokaryotes and little more complex as compared to Monra. So they were eukaryotes. Then we studied fungi, plantae, and animalia. So again, what was the difference between plant and animal? The main difference was plants are autotrophs and the animals are heterotrophs. At autotrophs means they are having chlorophyll and that's why preparing their own food, whereas animals lack chlorophyll and they cannot prepare their own food and they are dependent on the plants or the autotrophs for their food. So now the plants are again divided into five groups. What are these five groups? Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymno, and the Angiosperms. So sperms word is referred to as the presence of seed. So Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Thallophyta, in some में the seeds are absent, whereas gymnos में और एंजियोस्पर्म में seed development start हो जाता है. Gymno में जो seeds होती हैं present, that are naked, that are without any seed coat. But जो angiosperms है वहाँ पे seed coat भी present होता है. So that's how we divide the plants into different groups. On again in the same basis, on the basis of complexity. कौन कितना ज़्यादा complex है, कौन कितना ज़्यादा advanced character show करता है, that will determine the different groups of plants. And Animalia is also divided into different groups. Animalia is divided into 10 groups. Basically it is divided into Porifera जो सबसे simple है, then Coelentrates थोड़े complex हैं, फिर Platyhelminthes which are more complex, Nematodes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinoderms, and then Chordates as well as vertebrates. फिर vertebrates again divide होते हैं into different like reptilia, aves, as well as mammalia and amphibia. So this is the all different system of classification. ये क्यों होता है? To make the study of different organisms easier, as there are lot organisms that we have to study and we have to make it the study very simple so as to understand each and everything about all the living organisms. So now starting with the thallophyte. So the thallophytes are the most simple ones, as their body of these is not divided into stem, root and leaves. तो इसमें हम लोग distinguish नहीं कर सकते हैं. Like अगर हम लोग अपने आसपास कोई बड़े बड़े trees देखते हैं, तो these are mostly angiosperms जो हम लोग अपने आसपास देखते हैं, जो flowering plants भी कहते हैं जिनको. तो उनमें हम देखते हैं कि roots, stems and leaves वो कम्प्लीटली डिफर कर पाते हैं हम उनको कि कौन सी लीव्स हैं, कौन सी रूट्स हैं, कौन सी स्टेम है. बट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट थैलोफाइटा, क्योंकि ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा सिंपल है, दैट्स वाई their body is not differentiated into stem, root and leaves, and these plants are called alga or algae. So they are mostly aquatic, ये ज़्यादातर water conditions में present होते हैं. And in the diagram itself you can see कि the body is not divided into any three, like stem, root and leaf यहाँ पे distinguished नहीं है. And the examples for Thallophyta are Spirogyra, Ulothrix, Cladophora and Chara. Or in the pictures you can see how these different algae looks like. Then comes the Bryophyta. So Bryophyta are also called as the amphibians of the plant kingdom. Why? What are amphibians? Amphibians are those organisms that have the capability to live both on land as well as water. तो ये land पे भी terrestrial conditions में भी होते हैं as well as aquatic conditions में भी found होते हैं. That's why these are called as amphibians of the plant kingdom. और यहाँ पे we can see that Bryophyta से start हो जाता है differentiation into stem and leaf, but roots abhi bhi we cannot see. So that's why a little more differentiation is there as compared to Thallophyta, but yet again it is not completely differentiated. And in this there are no special structures for conduction of food and water, and the vascular tissues are still absent. Thallophyta may be absent the vascular tissues for the conduction of food and water or other substances, and Bryophyta may be absent ही होते हैं, but only difference is that यहाँ पे differentiation have started. The examples for the Bryophyta are Funaria, Mercantia and Vixia. In the diagram you can see the different plants. How do they look like? Then comes Pteridophytes. अब Pteridophytes में क्या difference होता है? यहाँ पे body तो differentiate हो ही जाती है, like ब्रायोफाइटा में सिर्फ स्टेम और लीफ हुए थे, बट यहाँ पे रूट, स्टेम एंड लीफ तीनों वी कैन सी. एंड द वेस्कुलर टिश्यूज जो होते हैं दैट आर मेंट फॉर कंडक्शन ऑफ फूड एंड वाटर, वो भी यहाँ पे स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं, वो भी यहाँ पे डेवलप हो जाते हैं. लाइक xylem एंड phloem आर मेंट फॉर द कंडक्शन ऑफ water and food respectively. Like xylem is made for the conduction of water and for food phloem is there. तो ब्रायोफाइटा तक ऐसे कोई भी स्ट्रक्चर्स प्रेजेंट नहीं है, बट एज वी कम टू द ट्राइडोफाइटा तो ये वेस्कुलर जो कंडक्टिंग टिश्यूज हैं दे आर प्रेजेंट. नाउ the examples for the Pteridophyta are ferns and Marsilia. In the picture you can see them. How do they look like? Then comes the gymnosperms. Now these are also called as cryptogams. So the plants of this group, they bear seeds. As I told you, sperma word that is come from the word seeds. That's why the gymnosperm are the first plants जहाँ पे seed appeared हुई, but these are naked seeds because the word gymno comes from naked. तो यहाँ पे कोई seed coat present नहीं है. That's why these are called as naked seed plants. And they are usually perennial, means ये ज़्यादातर हर conditions में found होते हैं. And they are evergreen. ये ज़्यादातर हमेशा इनकी जो reproductive cycle है वो चलती रहती है. And they are mostly evergreen and they are woody. Woody means their bark is little bit tough as compared to pteridophyte. And the example you can see Cycas and Pinus. Then comes the angiosperm, the most highest category of plants. Now here the plant of this group, they have seeds which are covered, and that's why the word angiosperm is there. Angio means covered and sperma word is referred to the word seed. They are also called as flowering plants because अभी तक हम लोग ने जिम्नोस्पर्म तक कहीं भी फ्लावर्स की बात नहीं की थी, बट एंजियोस्पर्म आर द फर्स्ट प्लांट जहाँ फ्लावर्स वी कैन सी, एंड फ्लावर्स आर ऑल्सो द organs of reproduction in angiosperm. That's why they are called as the flowering plants. And in this the plant embryo in the seed have cotyledons. So angiosperm फिर divide होता है two में, monocots and dicots, because यहाँ पे जो embryo बनता है plant embryo which is developed from seed, यहाँ पे seed है, seed develop होता है embryo में, और embryo में cotyledons found होते हैं. अब cotyledons कितने होंगे, 1 या 2? On that basis we divide again the angiosperm into monocots that is having only one cotyledon and dicots that is having two cotyledons. The example of monocots are the rice, wheat, maize, gram, peas, tamarind, etc. And the examples for dicots that are having two dicotyledons are called as green, gram, peas, tamarind, etc. तो जिनमें दो cotyledon वो dicots and जिनमें एक cotyledon वो monocot. और monocot और dicot में कौन सा ज़्यादा complex है, कौन सा ज़्यादा advanced है? It is monocots. So this is all about the plant kingdom, how they are divided. So this is an overview. Okay, अब अभी तक हम लोगों ने किस basis पे इन plants को divide किया है और कौन कौन से different categories we have seen in plants differentiation. तो सबसे पहले plants are divided into two types, like those plants whose body is not differentiated into stem, root and leaves. So under that we can see Thallophyta is there. Then comes those plants whose body is differentiated into different parts like root, stem and leaves. So now ये again divided होते हैं दो में, जो have those who are having the vascular tissues and those which are without the vascular tissues. Vascular tissues क्या होते हैं? Those tissues that are meant for conducting food and water. And the plants which do not have these tissues are the bryophytes, and those have these tissues are two, again pteridophyte. And the differentiation is on the basis of presence of seeds. So अब pteridophytes में vascular bundles तो हैं, but they do not have seeds. तो अब seed के basis पे again division होता है, that is those which have naked seeds, the seeds is not covered with the any seed coat, or those have covered seeds. तो जिनमें covered seeds होता है they are angiosperms, and जिनमें naked seeds होती हैं these are gymnosperms. और angiosperms फिर divide होते हैं into monocot and dicot basis on the basis of the number of cotyledons the developing embryo have. So this is the complete classification of plants on different bases. Now comes the classification of animals, how animals are divided. So animals are divided into basic 10 groups. So they are Porifera, coelentrates, Platyhelminthes, nematodes, Annelida, Arthropoda, molluscans, Echinodermata, Protochordata, as well as vertebrata. So now talking about the porifera, the sponges. So these are the most simpler ones. Their body is very delicate and they are mostly aquatic. They cannot move from one place to another. Their body do not have cilia or flagella, and they are found attached to some solid support. Like अगर ये aquatic conditions में found होते हैं तो we can see there are some very much large or small uh, some stones are there in the water conditions. तो उन stones पे ये present होते हैं. They are stick there because they cannot move. They do not have any organ for movement. That's why they are non-motile and they are present in the water conditions on some solid support. They have pores in the body and they do not have a well developed canal system. Canal system किस चीज़ के लिए होता है? Canal system is meant for egestion and excretion, like for taking in something and giving out something. Like for example, in our body digestive system is there. We take in food from our mouth and we eject it through the anus. So this is our canal system, but इनमें canal system is not very much well developed. So इनकी पूरी body में we can see there are some pores, and these pores are also responsible for taking in the water and utilizing whatever the substance is present in the water. They utilize that thing, or जो भी things they have that is of no use for them, they excrete it out through the pores. So this is how they survive. The outer body is made up of hard skeleton and the tissues are completely absent in the case of porifera. So these are only cellular type of animals. So examples of this is Spongilla, Cycon and Euplectella. Now coming to the different or to the next group, that is coelenterate. What are the characteristics of coelentrates? They are also aquatic animals. The body cavity is present. And what is the body cavity? The coelom. Coelom is called as the body cavity and this is present between the body layers. So तीन body layers होती हैं हम लोग में. What are the three body layers? Outermost is called as ectoderm, middle one mesoderm and innermost is called endoderm. So जब एक कैविटी बन जाती है इन द मिडिल लेयर, दैट इज मेसोडर्म में जब एक कैविटी बनती है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज सीलोम. इन द पोरिफेरा इट वाज एब्सेंट बट इन coelenterata it is there. And there are two layers, which are the two layers, outer layer and inner layer. So in the case of coelentrates we can see that some live in colonies. Colonies means some जो इसके कुछ types होते हैं coelentrate के, वो they are found in groups, like they live together. And there are some जो solitary रहते हैं या single रहते हैं. So this is the difference from the porifera. And the examples in the coelenterata are coral. We can see the coral reefs, like you must have seen some in some pictures, very beautiful structures that are present when you look in some very large water bodies. So these structures, like in the picture you can see colorful structures, are called coral reefs and these are under the coelenterata group. Then hydra is also an example of coelenterate, jellyfish, sea anemone, etc. In the picture you can see how do they look like. Then comes the platyhelminthes. So in the case of platyhelminthes, जो इनकी body होती है, that is bilaterally symmetrical. What is bilaterally symmetrical? Bilaterally symmetrical वो होता है कि अगर we divide this body into two halves, from this अगर हम लोग यहाँ division करते हैं तो body will divide into complete two halves, equal half में divide हो जाएगी. But अगर हम यहाँ से divide करेंगे, then we can see the division is not equal. So that is the thing कि only one place से the division can be done जहाँ से हम लोग को दो equal halves मिल सकते हैं. So this is bilaterally. Bi means two and laterally means this is a slanting position or the lateral position. तो यहाँ से जब cut करेंगे we get two equal halves. This is bilateral symmetry and body get divided into right half as well as left half. अब यहाँ पे three layers होती हैं. हम लोग ने देखा था in the case of coelenterate there were present only two layers, but यहाँ there are three layers. That's why they are triploblastic and the coelentrators were diploblastic. They do not have a true body cavity. यहाँ coelom जो होता है वो true नहीं होता है. True what is a true and false coelom? एक true coelom वो होता है that is formed from the middle body layer, that is from the mesoderm. But if the coelom is developing from any other layer, then it is called as a false coelom. तो इनका जो habitat है, their living nature, they can be free living or they can be parasite, means they can survive on their own or they may be dependent on some other animal for their survival. Parasite are those which are dependent on some other animal for their survival. That's why they have both type of habitat. The examples of this: planaria, it is free living, then liver fluke, and tapeworm. Tapeworm is parasitic. So all this is the example of platyhelminthes. Third comes the nematoda. What are nematoda? They have a cylindrical body. The body is cylindrical in them, and the body is again bilaterally symmetrical and triploblastic. They also do not have a true body cavity. They have tissues, but अब nematoda से we can say that tissues have started to arise, but again organ अभी भी develop नहीं हुए हैं. सिर्फ tissue level organization तक ही हम लोग पहुँचे हैं. So what are the different level of organizations in our body? Cellular, only presence of cells. Then tissues, जब बहुत सारे cells combine करते हैं, and then they form tissues, and when many tissues combine they form organ. When many organ combine they form an organization, and that is the complete organ of any organism. So this is the different tissue, different layers or different levels. तो यहाँ पे we can see the body is only at the tissue level, not at the organ level. They are parasite. We can see that platyhelminthes में there was two conditions available, कि either they can be parasitic or free living, but here nematodes they are all parasitic only. The examples of nematoda are Ascaris, they are also called as the roundworms, Voceraria, also called as the pinworms. Then comes the annelids. So the annelida, their body is bilaterally symmetrical and again triploblastic, the same feature, but यहाँ पे the difference is they have a true body cavity, because true body cavity means the cavity or the coelom is developing from the middle layer, that is the mesoderm. And in the previous cases we saw that there was no true body cavity. Now the very different thing in the annelida is the body segmentation. From here the segmentation starts. Body जो होती है वो divide हो जाती है बहुत सारे different segments में. These are the different segments. So this is the segmentation present in the annelida. There is no differentiation of organs. अभी भी यहाँ पे organ का differentiation नहीं हुआ है, and the body is still on the tissue level. Where are they found? Both in water and on land. So the example of the annelida are earthworm, Nereis, and the leech. These are all the examples of annelida. Then comes arthropoda. The special feature of arthropoda is that they have joint leg. So the jointed appendages are present in them, and that's why the arthropoda is given the name arthropods. Pods means poda word is also always used for the leg, so that's why they have jointed leg. That's why the term arthropoda is given. They also have a bilateral symmetry, and the body is also segmented in this also. और यहाँ पे जो सर्कुलेटरी सिस्टम होता है दैट इज़ ओपन टाइप. ओपन टाइप सर्कुलेटरी सिस्टम वो होता है जहाँ पे वेसल्स प्रेजेंट नहीं होती हैं फॉर द ट्रांसफर ऑफ ब्लड, बट देयर आर सम स्पेसेस प्रेजेंट थ्रू विच द blood flows. Those spaces are called as lacuna, and in this the pressure is very less. We have a closed system, closed circulatory system, and in lower organisms like in arthropoda there is open. So open is not very good system, but the closed system is considered more good because there is less loss of blood, and in open circulatory system the pressure is less, and also there can be a loss of some blood. The body cavity in this is filled with blood. तो यहाँ body cavity तो present होती ही है. It is also a true body cavity, and this body cavity जो present होती है it is filled with blood. This is a unique feature again. And the legs, they are jointed. The examples for this is arthropoda is the largest group. तो यहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा amount of organism we can see like prawn, crab, cockroaches, spiders, scorpion, butterfly, housefly, centipedes. All this is present in the arthropoda group. Then comes the mollusks. Mollusca again they have a bilateral symmetry, and in this coelomic cavity अभी तक बड़ी थी, and in the case of arthropoda it was filled with blood, but mollusca में the coelomic cavity gets reduced and the segmentation is also getting reduced. So the little segmentation is there, and the circulatory system is open type, और यहाँ से excretion के organs also started to develop. So what are the excretory organs? The kidney like organs have started to develop in the case of mollusca, and they also have feet for moving around. Abhi tak we have seen that the feet were not very much well developed. Arthropoda mein the, but they were jointed, but here we can see the legs or the feet have started to grow in a better way. The example is snail, and the outer covering is of hard shell. You can see snail is an example of this. So this is the mollusca. The examples are snails, mussels, chiton, octopus, etc. Then comes echinoderms. The echinoderm meaning is spiny skin, so they have spines on their skins, and they are free living marine animals, like they are always present in the marine conditions in the water of ocean, and they are always free living. They are not living in colonies or in groups. The body is triploblastic, having 3 layers, and it is also having a coelomic cavity. They have water filled tube feet which help in movement. So the organ for movement in the case of echinoderms are the tube feet. They have a hard skeleton which is made up of calcium carbonate. तो जो इनका outermost structure होता है, which is very hard, it is made up of a compound which is calcium carbonate. And the example for the echinodermata are starfish, sea urchin, feather star, sea cucumber, etc. These are the examples which are coming under the group echinodermata. Then comes protochordata. What is protochordata? So this is the connecting link between vertebrates and invertebrates. ना ये पूरे features हम लोग को show करते हैं invertebrates के और ना ही vertebrates के. So they are the connecting link. ये बीच में present होते हैं इन दोनों के. The feature of this is they have a bilateral symmetry and triploblastic. They have a coelomic cavity, and they have a notochord. So notochord is there, which is a long rod like structure, and it is present along its back, to which the muscles are attached and they help in movement. So notochord is there, but it is not very much similar to that which is present in vertebrates. Invertebrates में notochord absent होती है, protochords में present होती है, but जो इसका origin होता है वो different होता है from that of the vertebrates. So this is the connecting link between invertebrates जिनमें present नहीं होती है and the vertebrate जिनमें origin different होता है. The example for this is Balanoglossus, Amphioxus, Herdmania, etc. You can see in the diagram itself, this is the nerve cord present, and this is the notochord that is arising from here. This is the tail region, the caudal fin region, dorsal fin, this is anus, and this is the example of Balanoglossus, and this is Herdmania. Now coming to the vertebrates, we come under the category vertebrates, the human beings. So they have a vertebral column at the back of us. We can see there is presence of a column, the vertebral column, and an internal skeleton is present. We also have a bilateral symmetry. The body can be divided into 2 equal halves, and we are also triploblastic, that is we are having 3 germ layers. We also have a coelomic cavity, and our body is differentiated into tissues and organs. So now we have a higher level of organization, like not just tissues, we also have organs, and the body is mainly of 4 different regions. The 4 different regions are head, neck, trunk, and tail. They have 2 pairs of fins or limbs. We also have, like vertebrates are us only, so we also have 2 pairs, like we have 2 hands and 2 legs, so this is 2 pairs of fins or limbs. The respiration in the aquatic forms is by gills, and in land form respiration is by lungs. So we are living on land, we are terrestrial animals, so we are respiring by the help of lungs. और जो fishes जो होती हैं, those are living in the water conditions or the aquatic conditions, उनमें जो respiratory organ होते हैं, that are the gills. So in us the sexes are separate, like for what is the separation of sexes? Males are present differently and females are present differently, not in just one body. We cannot see that both the male and female part is present, but males and females are present in different bodies. So the vertebrates are again divided into 5 classes. What are these classes? Species. Species के under we can study fishes, amphibia, then reptilia, aves, and mammalia. Now pieces. What are the different features of pieces? The fishes. So they are fishes and they live in water. The skin of the fishes is covered with scales or plates. So on the covering of the fishes we can see the presence of scales or plates, and we know that fishes, they respire through the organs which is lungs. They have a streamlined body. So ये जो body, ये जो shape होता है body का, आगे से thin and then again from back it is again thin. So this type of body is called as streamlined. From here, from the middle part it is swollen, and from the end part as well as from the tip part it is thin. That's why this is streamlined, and this streamline is because so that it can flow very easily or float easily, swim easily in the water. So that's why they have the streamlined body, and they are cold-blooded animals. Those animals are called as cold-blooded animals, those whose body temperature does not change, or body temperature changes with the atmospheric temperature. Like if they live in cold water, then their blood will get hot so that they can survive, and if they are living in very cold conditions, then the temperature of their body will change. So this is why they are called as cold blooded or poikilothermic animal. Now the chamber, talking about the chambers of the heart, we all know that us, the human beings, the mammals, we have four chambers of heart. The heart is divided into two ventricles and two auricles, but in the case of fishes, there are only two chambers. And how do they reproduce? They lay eggs from which the young ones hatch out. So they are oviparous. There are two types of animals, oviparous and viviparous. Oviparous lays eggs and viviparous lays young ones. Now some fishes have a skeleton that is made up of cartilage. Like sharks and rays, they have a different type of skeleton system, and that is made up of cartilage, and some other are there which have the structure that is made up of bones, for example tuna and rohu. So these are the different types of fishes. Now talking about amphibia. In plants also we talked about amphibia, those were the bryophytes, and in the case of amphibia, they are found both in land and water, and they do not have scales. In pieces or the fishes, we saw there were scales or the fins present, but in the case of amphibia, the scales are absent and there is presence of a mucus gland on the skin. So जिनकी skin होती है, like if you have touched frog, तो जो frog की skin होती है, that is very sticky. So that is because of the presence of mucus glands on the skin, and so that they can live both in the water as well as land conditions. They are also cold blooded, and their heart is three chambered. So fishes में heart two chambered था, but in the case of amphibia the heart gets three chambered. Respiration is through gills or lungs, because ये दोनों जगह फाउंड करते हैं इन द टेरेस्ट्रियल एज वेल एज एक्वाटिक कंडीशंस. तो इनके पास दोनों ऑर्गन्स होते हैं रेस्पिरेशन के. दे ऑल्सो लेज एग इन वाटर. तो ये जो इनका लोअर लाइफ होती है, जो यंग वंस होते हैं वो वाटर कंडीशंस में फाउंड होते हैं, एंड जब ये बड़े हो जाते हैं ये दे मेटामॉर्फोसाइज एंड ग्रो इनटू अडल्ट्स, दे विल बी फाउंड इन द लैंड कंडीशंस. Then comes another one, the reptilia. So they have scales. Again, they have scales. In the snake you can see the scales. In the lizards also, the body is very much rough and the scales are there, and they breathe through lungs. They are cold blooded. Again, they are also cold blooded, and most of them are three chambered, but जो crocodile होता है, it have four chambers. So most of the reptilia are of having a heart that is of only three chambers, but crocodile is an exception and it is having a four chambered heart. They lay eggs with heart covering in water. जो इनके eggs होते हैं, that are also covered with very much hard coverings, and they also lay their eggs in the water. The examples of reptilia are snakes, turtles, lizards, crocodiles, etc. Then comes the apes, the birds. They are warm-blooded animals. Now from here the warm-blooded animals start. अभी तक we have seen that there were only cold-blooded animals were present. The poikilothermic animals, जिनकी body temperature was constantly changing according to the environment. But from the apes, the bird, now the warm-blooded animals have started. Warm-blooded animals are called as hemothermic animals. The chambers in the heart are four in the case of apes, and they breathe through lungs. They have an outer covering of feathers. So the outermost covering of the birds is made up of feathers, and they are having four limbs, and they are modified to wings or for flying. They lay eggs. So they are also oviparous. The examples for this are crow, sparrow, pigeon, duck, ostrich, etc. These are also given in the pictures. You can see how the different birds look like. So these are the examples of apes. Then comes mammalia. Mammalia are warm-blooded animals. Like the apes, we are also warm-blooded. We have four-chambered heart, and they also we also have a mammary glands for the production of milk in order to nourish our young ones. The skin have hairs. We have seen that our skin have hairs, and that is to protect our skin from the dangerous ultraviolet radiations. We also have sweat glands. Most of them give birth to their young ones, so we are viviparous, and some examples are there, some exceptions are there which lay eggs. So these are platypus and echidna. So they ये दो animals होते हैं जो कि mammalia में आते हैं, but they lay eggs. Other जो भी होते हैं, they all give birth to their young ones directly. The examples are cat, rat, dog, lion, tiger, whale, bat, humans, etc. Now what is nomenclature? At the end, we'll talk about nomenclature. All the living beings have to be given some scientific name so that ये जो हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं इनके बारे में, डॉग, कैट एंड ऑल, these are not the same terms which is used in all the world. Like some other countries, other languages are used except than English, so that's why a name it has to be given which is सेम वर्ल्ड वाइड. मतलब इवन इफ इंडिया इफ इट इज़ देयर, तो वो जितनी भी कंट्रीज हैं सब में इट इज़ कॉल्ड द सेम. सो दैट्स वाई द नॉमेनक्लेचर वॉज इंट्रोड्यूस. And the most important nomenclature that was selected was the binomial nomenclature that was given by Carolus Linnaeus, and he used two aspects in that. He divided the name into two. One was called genus and other one called species. जो पहला वाला term है that was called genus, that is for us we are homo sapiens. So the homo is the term genus and sapiens is species. तो difference इनमें क्या होता है, जो homo है, the जीनस वर्ड जो होता है उसका पहला कैपिटल लेटर होता है और स्पीशीज के सब लेटर्स, सब अल्फ़ाबेट स्मॉल में होते हैं. सो दैट इज़ द डिफरेंस हाउ वी राइट नेम्स, एंड इट हैज़ टू बी अंडरलाइन एज और इट हैज़ टू बी रिटन इन इटैलिक फॉर्मेट. तो होमोजीनियस होमो सेपियंस आर ह्यूमन बींग्स एंड दिस इज़ द साइंटिफिक नेम विच इज़ यूज्ड in complete world for identifying the human beings. This is what all was the nomenclature process. So this is how we complete the third chapter of biology, the diversity of the living organisms. And in next class we will be talking about the next chapter.